Well, hi everybody. It's Sarah, the Real Simple Mama, and happy Memorial Day to all of you. I have some content to talk to you about today, and it's kind of stupid and it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm nothing if not honest. I'm certainly not, particularly intelligent or anything when it comes to our chickens. But I want to talk to you today about the automatic feeder and waterer that we have that we've built for our chicken coop. If you haven't seen anything about it, you're welcome to pause now and go check out the Coop hacks video that I have here on my channel. It's one of the most wildly popular videos on my channel, and hopefully it's helping people to maximize the efficiency and the safety for their birds if they bought this innovation pet coop kit, or if you have any other, kind of stock coop kit. So let us go in, and to keep the girls from being too annoying, they got mealworms. So they're going to be foraging like the little dinosaurs they are. My husband and I are huge Jurassic Park fans, Michael Crichton fans, and we've been going back and watching all of the old movies from the 90s. And it's so funny because I'm like, oh my God, my chickens are they're just like little raptors. But anyway, so I've got some suggestions and sort of if you've seen my other videos, you're probably like, what the hell is that? So I'm going to explain all of this. So essentially what we wanted to do with our feeder and waterer, which I'm probably going to mispronounce at least once, is, for me being a stay-at-home mom, which I know a lot of people think it means I don't do anything, but I'm actually busier now staying home with our children, even without these things, than I was when I was like a full-time plus teacher. So we definitely wanted to maximize efficiency to where we're not having to do menial tasks multiple times a day or once a day if you only need to do them like twice a week. So we designed very inexpensive, very functional. This is a chicken waterer. It's this piece, goes horizontally like that and ends there. That's the waterer. And then this is the feeder. So I'm going to talk about the waterer first because that one's working really well. I just have, I guess, some more advanced suggestions if you tend to want to go that way. I know a few people have been saying they're going to mimic our design, which is great. But of course, I want to be honest with you and tell you things you may not realize or things that may not work. So especially since we tend to, MacGyver things like, oh, just staple it or just zip tie it, whatever, it's fine. So with the waterer, I only have to fill this thing up probably twice a week, maybe 3 times. And so we've got the cap here, and there's an ice bottle in there right now, and I'm going to be filling this up again tomorrow. And the couple of things that you want to be aware of with this thing are, first of all, that if you do any kind of medication or supplements or vitamins or any kind of additive into your chicken's water, you're probably not going to want to use one of these things, because if you make a cup of tea or you put lemon in your water or whatever, if you forget to take that out, like you leave the tea bag in there, like I tend to do that all the time, I'm the worst, Dean, don't be mad at me, or if you leave lemon in it overnight or whatever, it gets really bitter, right? And sometimes it can make a nasty residue on the inside of your cup. The same thing will happen here. So there are reasons why you might want to add apple cider vinegar or raw garlic cloves or things like that. It can be immune boosting for your birds. Of course, you can do it just as a supplement regularly, kind of like we take supplements or vitamins just every day just because. Or you can sometimes do it if you feel like your birds might be coming down with something, your flocks may be passing around some kind of respiratory deal, but it's honestly going to be more of a pain in the ass for you to do it in the waterer than it's worth. So I would do a separate tray, or just a smaller waterer, like maybe what you used when they were chicks before they were out living in the coop. Because if you put anything in the water other than water, whether it's a liquid vitamin or, like I said, ACV or garlic or whatever, you're going to have to clean it every day. And this thing is cleanable. I'm going to show you in just a second, but you don't want to be doing it every day. It defeats the purpose of the convenience. So only water. The other thing is you're going to want to clean it once every week or two. As you can see, mine's got dust and stuff on the top. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about internally. You're going to want to spray some high pressure water, hot water if possible, and you're going to want a scrub brush that's only used for your chicken coop. Obviously, you don't want to take it from your kitchen and bring it in here and then go wash your dishes. So the way I've got this set up, this is just an end cap that comes with stock. This is 2-inch PVC here, so 2-inch diameter. Just an end cap. So when I screw that off, of course, I'm going to wait until the water is down pretty low, because guess what's going to happen when I pull this thing off? All the water is going to come shooting out and get everything wet right here. But then you essentially want to just use a long scrub brush, like one of those more durable, more stiff dish brushes, or I guess even a toilet brush, and you're just going to want to shove it in there as far as you can and just rotate it around and get any mildew, algae, any of that nasty stuff that's down in this piece. Because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen down here and around this elbow joint. Then, you know, keep this open and you're going to flush it through a couple of times, right? By using your, where's my finger? There it is. Sorry, my dimensions are off. And so you're going to want to just spray water down here, let it flush all the way through, spray water again, scrub, scrub, scrub. And you'll do that once every week or two. And then of course, just tighten this up really tight. I don't find that I need to clean the chicken nipples that much because they're hanging down. The water is moving through them a bit better, and it'll get caught by the brush when you stick a brush through all of that. But you're going to want to clean that out once every week or two. I had a very intelligent question the other day, just real quick, about how to train your birds to use this kind of thing. And really what you're going to have to do is just sit here, take away any of their other water sources. So don't leave a tray out, don't leave their little chick water, anything like that. It has to be just the source. And just sit here and kind of like flick it with your finger, like so. Let me see if I can do this. And you can see the water coming out. And then, you know, your birds will kind of be like, oh. And some of them will figure it out pretty quickly, and some of them, you know, not so much. So, and what you want to do over the next day or two is make sure you physically see every one of your birds actually drinking from that. Don't assume that because one bird figured it out that all of them will, because their IQs can vary greatly from bird to bird. But again, if you take away all the other water sources, so hey, guess what? You've got to find water. You know, they'll figure out, hey, look, I see some water spouting off of this when somebody else is drinking. It's wet down here. Hopefully they'll figure it out. So that's pretty much all you need to know for the waterer. We've been very happy with it. It makes my life much easier. The girls are satisfied. Now, I know I broke my own rule a little bit. I give them ice water out here in the tray just this time of year, just in the afternoon, because guys, by like 10 a.m. it was over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're not even in June yet. So I'll give them an extra source of water. But you know, in the mornings before I let them out, they've got this. That's their just default water. They know it's always going to be there. All right, now let's talk about the feeder. Our feeder, and this is basically why I'm making this video, has been kind of causing me some problems and pissing me off a little bit. But I didn't really want to post the video until I had a solution. And I think I have a solution. And as usual, it's ghetto and cheap and stupid looking. But if it's functional, then who cares? So here's what the problem was. Okay, here's our feeder. And you can essentially fill up this entire thing. This is 4-inch PVC, and it converts down to 2-inch. And then we basically have one of these lids upside down and bolted to it. So that's the bowl. Now, if you notice now, our hardware cloth here has gotten kind of bent up because my husband and I have been messing with this thing. So here's what happened. Last week in South Texas, we got a crazy heavy rain, and it was almost like we didn't even know it was coming. We got an alert on our phones like, hey, heavy storm starting, oh, right now. And normally we try to, you know, keep an eye on the weather, but I don't know why, but this caught us completely by surprise. Okay, well, I've started taking off some of the extra, you know, bags and things that I had here because it's hot. I want air circulation. And I thought, oh God, you know, I hope this thing doesn't get full of water, because of course, what's going to happen if this fills up with water? All of the food is going to absorb water, and basically all of the food in there is ruined. It's rotten. It's got to be thrown away. That's a waste of money, and you don't want your less than intelligent birds trying to eat moldy, rotten food, because remember, they're very sensitive to respiratory stuff and mold and all of those kinds of things. So it was like, oh crap. But with this storm, we kept an eye on it while it was raining. There was no wind. So I thought, okay, well, if there's no wind, then let's think logically. The wind is not being blown sideways. It's not going to be blown in, you know, through the hardware cloth into that bowl. If it's just falling straight down, then technically, since their bowl, let's get over here, since their bowl is under the roof, if there's no wind, then there may be, I mean, it might get a little bit in there, but I'm not going to have to throw away all of that food. Yeah, I was wrong. I came out the next morning, that bowl, which, I mean, let me grab one of these other ones so you can see what the perspective, I mean, it holds a decent amount of food. It's one of these. One of these. I mean, you can see on my hand, I mean, it's huge. Was completely full of water. I'm like, oh, you know, expletive, expletive, expletive. So not only is all of that food ruined, but now I've got to crawl in here. And here's one thing to be aware of whenever you're buying a coop or whatever. How are you going to get in there? Whether your chickens lay an egg in there, or, you know, you have to sporadically scrape out poop and kind of just, you know, move the dirt around. If you've got a feeder and a waterer, you're going to have to be crawling in. Well, where we've got our feeder, I've got to crawl in the other side and just stay on all fours and come across this way. And I have, you know, rip the pieces apart and just let it all dry out and spray it. And it smelled like moldy, rotten food. And it was just really gross. So crap. All right. So here's getting towards the solution. I promise there is one, kind of. So what we decided to do is we took all the pieces apart and we dried them. And we had a couple of theories. It was like, okay, we've got 3 or 4 ideas on what may be happening here when it comes to how in the, you know what, is the rain getting in. Because you couldn't blame the wind that time. There was absolutely none. So, okay, then what is it? So idea number 1 was that water was dripping down from the outside and each of these joints were not glued. We had them glued like in this spot here, where it goes from 4-inch down. That spot was glued. The rest were all just pushed together. And so I thought, well, maybe they're getting loose. So we glued the other spots. You can see with that, if you can see where the purple is, the cement that we use is purple. So now it's glued there and it's glued there. That line that I drew is the only place now where it's not glued. So if I ever have to take this stupid thing apart again, I remember that's the only place I can pull it apart. Okay, so we did that. And then we thought, okay, well, if there is wind, you know, we're going to have to block up a piece here, but I don't want to do that yet. I wanted to show you. The third thing was, and this is my husband's main theory, is rain is just, you know, it's hitting this because this is outside, right? So this is going to get wet. And rain is just dripping along and then just follows and just goes whoop and just falls into the bowl. Hence my stupid cone of shame. Now, you're going to laugh and you can put it in the comments, and you know what? I don't care, because if this keeps me from having to keep cleaning out this stupid thing, then it will be worth it. So I'm trying to give you all of the different perspectives. Ooh, ah. So that is an old cutting board, a crappy, flimsy, cheap plastic cutting board that you buy like in a pack of 5. And I had an old one and I wasn't using it anymore. And so I just cut it, you know, I took this whole piece in the house and I cut it to fit around, and then I taped it on the top and bottom just to make sure that it's sealed and to make it a little bit more rigid because it was kind of flimsy. So now, if it rains, the theory is that it will drop, let's see if I can do this, it will drop down this way and keep that bowl clean. And then the chickens have like a little roof while they're eating their food. So I thought about you know, like turning the hose on and testing it. But you know what? If I'm wrong, I don't really want to know. I'm not ready yet for that. So I've just put just a little bit of food in there for right now. Here's another angle. I've put just a little bit of food in it for right now. Now, we've honestly bent up the hardware cloth so much because we've taken this thing on and off like 3 times. So that is not the fault of the coop. That is not the fault of the design of it. It's just my husband and I playing, you know, different strategies. So as you can see, this angle now, it's not straight vertical. It's coming in like that. There's not really anything we can do about it because that hardware cloth is just kind of shot. But that's our fault. We can reinforce it if we want to. Honestly, if this doesn't work, the next time it rains, you know, if I have wasted food and I have to clean out all of that disgusting, smelly, rotting mess, we are going to scrap the feeder. We will patch up that hole in the hardware cloth, and we're just going to buy a big chicken feeder like you see at a farm. You know, it's just the container that's upside down, and then there's the rim around the edge where the chickens can, and I will just be, you know, whatever. And I'll put it back somewhere back there to where hopefully if it rains, it will be a non-issue. So that kind of stinks. But just something for you to think about. Inevitably, wherever you are, it's going to rain at some point. And if this is not against a wall, I mean, I guess you could try extending a roof. If you were trying to copy our design, copy it, but make it better than mine. You can extend the roof here, and that might help. Again, I would recommend always having something solid here. Like I said, save the bags of chicken feed, save the bags of, like the empty bag, any plastic bag that's kind of that double layer, whether it's cat litter or it's dog food or it's chicken food or whatever, save those bags and then staple them up. Or I mean, hell, use trash bags and then just cut it around to fit. That way, if it's raining and blowing this way, it's blocked. So we've tried now, we've glued it and we've made our little, you know, I don't know what you would even call it, like the little brim around there to see if that's going to work. And if it doesn't work, then we're just going to yank this thing out because we're done. And by we, I mean me, because I do, other than like the occasional having to like, you know, build something, I'm the one who deals with the day-to-day of the chickens. And every time it rains, it's just not, it's not worth it, guys. It's been pissing me off. So So there's where we're at with that. So some suggestions with the waterer and with the feeder. If you are also building these, I would suggest in the beginning, don't fill it up all of the way. Do it just a little bit and make sure that your birds are figuring out what's going on, that you're not wasting any material, that everything's going to hold. Because obviously the more food you put in there, the heavier it's going to be. You know, just keeping things like that in mind. Look at these birds. Girls. Back, back. Girls. Chick, chick. Now they have ice and there is a breeze right now, so she's still hot, but she's okay. Daddy bird. She's putting her belly over there on the wet dirt. Chick, chick. And Lolly's over here. See, she's the bottom of the pecking order, so now that the other two have moved off, now she's going to try to get some more mealworms. Does that breeze feel good, honey? She was sitting on my lap earlier. Little brats. So there's some suggestions on the feeder and the waterer. Overall, I'm still really happy with the design. It helps me out a lot. Now, especially that we have this pen set up, that's my hose over there. Having to try to get the hose through here with the open gate without them trying to escape, and it's just kind of stressful. So I'm very grateful to have this. When I need to give them water there, or when I pick different zones of the grass every day to spray. Oh, look, they have their pool now. When I pick different spots of the grass every day, I can spray that through the fence, but of course filling this thing up, you have to be a little bit more precise than just, you know, shooting it across from half the yard. So hopefully that will help you. I think this kind of feeder will still work even if you don't use crumble. For chicks or for chickens, there's two different styles of food as far as literally what shape it comes in. Think of it as, I don't know, flakes or granola with your cereal. But the first is pellets, and it's bigger pieces, like what I would think for, like, you know, gerbils and hamsters and that kind of thing. Both of them are made out of the same material. It's just, again, the form they come in. And then there's the crumble. I feel like the crumble is a lot less waste. My chickens have never had the pellets. I could convert. I guess there's not really that much of a price difference. I could convert just to see what they do, but you know, why? But this pretty much, the same design would work even if you've got pellets. Right, Lolly? So just some further suggestions if you want to do the time-saving, efficient feeder and waterer. Yes, those are just zip ties. They work. And the hardware cloth is strong enough. We've cut a hole in it and it's been fine for, you know, a year. It's now that we've been ripping it out and putting it back in, or ripping it out and putting it back in, that the hardware cloth's just gotten bent up. But that is not the fault of the coop. That's us being too rough on our stuff. But those are the suggestions that I have for you for today. I do have a lot more ideas as far as more videos that are coming soon. Sometimes I have, hey look, this is perfect timing. Oh, he flew away. I had a little bug on me. Sometimes I'm like, well, I don't really know. I don't have anything good to tell them about. And so I just kind of lay low for a little while and I stay quiet. But then I think of this idea and this idea and this idea. So I've got a little bit more research to do before I do the next two videos. But the next two that should be coming probably are one about pests, which is kind of like, you know, you open up your coop in the morning and you see a bug and you freak out and think, oh my God, you know, is my chicken going to eat that? Or is that going to eat my chicken? Or is this poisonous? Or is it going to sting my little babies in the night? Or what the hell is this thing? So I'm going to do a video about pests and what to do with them, which ones to worry about, which ones don't really matter, how to check your birds, that kind of thing. And then I'll do another video, which will be very sentimental. That'll be something along the lines of how my girls are not spring chickens anymore. And that expression comes from a chicken who is a year old or less. So my girls officially are not spring chickens anymore. And while they can live for, God, you know, 9, 10 more years, after the first year of life, there are going to be some things that are different. And just for you to watch out for, so you don't freak out the first time your chicken molts, or if they start laying less, that kind of thing. Just taking care of your birds after they're not babies anymore. But we will be back soon. That's Calypso and Dottie. I don't know what she's doing with her head. And Lollipop over here. And I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama. Give me suggestions, comments, questions, anything I can do to help clarify you. You guys know my email address. You know I respond quickly here on YouTube comments. And we will be back soon with more content. Bye, guys.